Hello, it's so good to see you again. I'm Barbara and together with Daniel I restored a historic sailing ship, Flying Coney. Initially the plan was to go to Snake and to transfer all the nice furniture and the usable equipment from the wooden boat to Flying Coney. And after we are done, scrap the wooden boat and move on. But after we emptied out the bilge and cleaned up the boat, we realized that she's actually in much better condition than we expected. So instead of ripping her apart, we tried to find a wooden boat enthusiast who is willing to take on this huge project. And luckily, we found one. But more about that in an upcoming video. But that left us with two problems. Problem 1, we still don't have an interior for Flying Coney, and problem 2, what to do instead. Luckily on a boat of Flying Coney's size there is always an endless to-do list. And since the weather was nice, we continued with a project we started last summer. Restoring our historic wheelhouse. Also we got the first piece of new equipment that will make living aboard Flying Coney so much more comfortable. And it is a huge step towards an environmentally friendly ship, which is very important for us.
One big issue when living or traveling on boats is what to do with the black water. So what happens with your sewage? One easy way to get rid of it is to just pump it overboard. But there are several problems related to this. The first one is, nowadays there are many areas where it's actually illegal to simply pump it overboard. The water either needs to be collected in big tanks and pumped out at pump-out stations, or you have to clean the black water before you pump it overboard. But more about it later. And even if it's allowed to pump your black water overboard, it still isn't the best idea to do so. We all like to go swimming, and if you have a look at the water in most harbors or in busy anchor bays, I wouldn't recommend to do so. So for the sake of clean harbors and healthy waters, we decided we don't want to pump our black water simply overboard. And we started to look for a better solution.
Speaking about problems and solutions, there are endless problems we have to solve during our refit project. And it is really difficult to show it in the videos, but we spend a lot of time with research, planning and problem solving. Refitting a project boat isn't always as straightforward as we wish. Of course, our main goal is to make progress on Flying Coney, to finally move aboard, to have a structural sound hull again, and to go sailing together with you. And when each step takes longer than expected, when we spend more time solving unnecessary problems than actually working on the boat, it is easy to lose faith in the refit project, to question the whole journey and to find it difficult to continue. And usually it helps me to talk to someone about all this. Luckily there is a platform called BetterHelp, which is also the sponsor of today's video. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who is trained to listen and give helpful and unbiased advice. First, you go to the site, you can use my link betterhelp.com/flyingconey. You answer a few questions and BetterHelp will match you, usually within 48 hours, to a professional therapist. My weekly sessions really help me to structure everything, to see the solutions and not to get overwhelmed by all the tasks that still lay before us. And this helps me not only for the refit project but also for everyday life. And if you think it can help you too, then head over to betterhelp.com/flyingconey or select Sailing Flying Coney at sign up to get a special discount of your first month of therapy.
Our long-term viewers will remember that we started to work on the wheelhouse last summer together with Harold, a professional woodworker who offered to help us for a few days. When we bought Flying Coney, the wooden wheelhouse was already in poor condition. The once beautiful varnish flaked off and was even completely gone on some parts. And one corner of the roof was completely rotten. So when Harold offered us to help, we decided to restore the beautiful wooden wheelhouse together with him. However, this task turned out to be much bigger than we expected, kind of like every task on this boat. So Harold helped us as much as he could in the week we spent together and shared a lot of his knowledge with us. So we were perfectly equipped to continue on our own. Together with Harold, we repaired the rotten corner. Harold carefully fitted a new piece of Iroko and after painting it, it looked almost like new. we built a new chart table together to replace the ugly board that was put over the companionway. And scraped off the old broken varnish from the wheelhouse. The problem with broken varnish is that moisture gets trapped behind the broken varnish and damages the wood. So especially with hardwood, it's better to have no varnish at all than to have broken varnish, because most hardwoods can handle the elements actually pretty well. And now it's summer again, at least for a few days, so finally the time has come to varnish Flying Coney's wheelhouse. But before we can actually start with the varnish, there's still some sanding that needs to be done. So we were very grateful for Natalia, our new volunteer who joined us for a few days.
Hello everyone, my name is Natalia and I don't have any experience in this kind of paintings, woodworks, and my expectation was to gain experience and how to do it in a correct way. So thanks for this because it was very detailed and nice explanations. I learned how to do sandings and we did I realized that it's quite challenging and not easy.
Since our wheelhouse is actually quite big, just like everything on Flying Coney, we decided to focus on the front this time. With only 2.5 persons working, because one of us is always filming, sanding and painting this huge area takes up quite some time. And we absolutely wanted to avoid sanding all 3 sides and running out of good weather before we could start to varnish. Because if it starts to rain before we put the first layer of varnish on, we would have to start all over again. And spoiler alert, we just managed to get the first layer of varnish on the front side before it started pouring down again.
There is one more consideration when it comes to blackwater disposal I want to share with you. In the past we had several rather unpleasant experiences when it comes to dealing with blackwater. There was this nasty leaking blackwater tank in the forecastle that one of the previous owners left us completely filled up. So the smell in the forecastle was always special. We had to shovel it out, cut it into pieces and get rid of it. Which had to be done, but was no fun at all. Then we found out that the ventilation pipe for a toilet, which was there to prevent water from back siphoning and sinking the boat, was open to the bottom, and that the plumbing was done in a way that it regularly overflow, and all the overflow from the toilet ended up in the engine room. I guess you can imagine the smell down there. After those 2 experiences, we really wanted a simple, foolproof and robust system. So we were looking for an environmentally friendly, easy to use, low maintenance system, and in the end we found one. But first, let's continue with the wheelhouse. Yesterday we started sanding down the front of the wheelhouse, and the result really looks stunning. This task was long overdue because there was so much rain and wind in the last few months, so we couldn't do it. And today we've planned to do the details, so we sand it down one more time with softer sanding paper, and after that we can start the varnishing, and I'm really excited how the result will look. So when it comes to applying varnish to wood, surface preparation is really everything, so that's why we spend a lot of time sanding and hand sanding the wood. And that's why we just apply it this time to the front of the wheelhouse, and we do the sides of the wheelhouse at a later point, just to give us enough time for the perfect surface preparation. But perfect, you know what they say, like the last 10% take off 80% of the work, so we try to get a decent finish in this case. So after we did a lot of research, we found a product that's called Enteron. And it is no coincidence that it's the same name as the digestive system. It is the smallest biological sewage treatment plant available, and it is designed for boats, houseboats and bigger motorhomes. We talked to the inventor himself, Tom Logisch, about the system, and he offered to help us design a suitable solution and support this project with an Enteron, which is pretty cool. And since I know that some of you are interested in such a system for your own boat, let me explain what this black box actually does. You can connect any kind of toilet to the Enteron. Inside are 3 separated tanks, and all the stuff ends up and gets collected in the first tank. From there it gets pumped into the bioreactor in the second tank, and there the magic happens. In there the bacteria process the black water until it's clean enough. Then it gets pumped through a pre-filter into the third tank. When the third tank gets full, a tank level sensor automatically initiates the pump out through a second filter and the UV light. The clarified liquid that is pumped overboard is clean and meets all MARPOL requirements. So basically the Enteron transfers all your poo into clean water. We already did a test run with blue water and are pretty impressed. Now we just have to decide where we want to install our space toilet. And then we finally have a comfortable, environmentally friendly way of getting rid of our black water. And if you have any questions about the Enteron, feel free to leave them in the comments or write us an email to sailing@flyingconey.com. We spent an entire day talking to the inventor himself about this pretty cool solution. And also, if you consider to buy one, get in touch with us. We can offer you a discount and help you to find the right system for your boat. Of course, we will keep you updated on the installation and on our long-term experience. But we just wanted to share this exciting piece of equipment with you as soon as it landed on the boat. As a coating system, we opted for a one-component system by EP63. It's called hardwood oil, and it's specifically made to go on hardwoods like teak or iroko. So that's the wood from our Wheelhouse. And why a one-component system over a two-component system? Well, we're still in the Netherlands, and finding weather windows and the right conditions for a two-component system proved to be very difficult, so we opted for a one-component system which is easier to apply, and it also gives a really nice surface finish.
I really love the look of the varnished wheelhouse. Every time we come to the boat, it is the first thing I see, and it looks so good. Throughout the last 2 years, there were not many jobs included that made Flying Coney look better. It was a lot of ripping things apart and fixing problems, which is of course necessary, but not really rewarding. So finally getting to the jobs that actually make Flying Coney look nice feels really good. And since we were already at it, we also varnished our new chart table. The front of the wheelhouse looks stunning, and the chart table also has some layers of varnish on. Of course, we had some rainy weeks afterwards, so we didn't manage to get all the layers on. But that's how it is if you work outdoors in the Netherlands. I guess you can tell that we are pretty excited about the Enteron. because it brings us one step closer to finally move back aboard Flying Coney. And all this, the restoration project and taking the extra time to make and edit these videos wouldn't be possible without the generous support of our lovely Patreons. We really appreciate it, and we always do our best to give something back. On Patreon we have real-time updates and weekly crew meetings where we talk about the project. Our videos are usually not real-time because it just takes some time to make and edit them up to the standards we want them to be, to make them interesting and enjoyable to watch. So if you want to know what's going on right now, if you want to support this project, and if you want to make us really happy, because we do have some quite expensive steps like the frame repairs coming up. So if you want to get more involved in this project, get real-time updates and join us on our weekly crew meetings, then please check out our Patreon site. And of course, we are also really grateful for everyone who is watching our videos. But that's all we have time for today. Thank you so much for watching and see you next time.